Yeah, yeah.
Testing, testing.
Yeah, that's not at all.
Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk may call the roll. Councilmember Porter.
Present.
Councilmember Middleton is absent. Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Present.
Councilmember Dundon.
Present.
Councilmember Costi.
Present.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Present.
Council President Matavetsky. Present. Thank you. Thank you. We will begin by approving the minutes from the business meeting on October 23rd. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motioned by Councilman Dundon,
I second.
seconded by Councilman Porter. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll now move on to reports from committees and commissions. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share?
There was a budget request in a $10,000 that I approved for transfer between. It's like tires and stuff in DPW, I think. Yes, it was so I'm supposed to tell you when these things happen. So it was under $10,000. It was a DPW within their own budget lines for fuel and gas and diesel into parts, right? Into tires and vehicle parts.
Thank you.
That's all.
Anyone else? Okay, the Environmental Commission met. They voted and made a recommendation. It was a 5-4 vote to have City Council eliminate fluoridation from Binghamton's drinking water. So that is a discussion we can have at some point. Their zoning recommendation was not voted on. That was the one that we requested. However, since meeting, they did generate a summary, and that is posted to Basecamp, which all council members have access to, and people can foil if they would like to see it. They expect to vote on that summary at their next meeting. They also formed a transportation committee. The next traffic board meeting is 10:15 a.m., so that's a slightly different time than normal. On November 14th. The agenda hasn't been posted, but I'm pretty confident that Woodland Drive will be on there and likely will be voted on. That was our target goal, to vote on that. And I'll follow up with Councilwoman Middleton to see if she heard any more feedback about which side of the street to put no parking signs for Boulevard Terrace. Those are my updates. Anybody else? Do we have, there was discussion about an employees committee meeting to schedule. Do we have a date? No, we
We
don't.
don't have a date for that. So
Okay.
that we have further discussion about.
Okay.
Things, so.
And we had a discussion about having a planning committee meeting for RL 24-217. Is that scheduled?
It's not scheduled yet. We're
Okay.
working through people's schedules.
So watch the website for upcoming committee meetings. Okay, appointments. So yesterday, November 5th, the City of Binghamton residents voted in Proposition 2, which allows City Council to appoint 4 Human Rights Commission members and the mayor to appoint 3 commission members. City Council will attempt to recruit members from the community who represent the diversity of the community as set forth in Chapter 45, Binghamton Human Rights Law, veteran status, or those with prior criminal convictions. All members shall reside or work in the city of Binghamton. You can read more about it in Chapter 45, and there's a chapter right next to it, maybe 45A. If you want to learn more about the commission and more about Binghamton Human Rights Law. If you're interested in applying for one of the commission positions that we can appoint, please email your resume to clerk@cityofbinghamton.gov. Please apply by December 17th, 2024. We also would like to invite residents to apply to be on the Commission for Conservation of the Environment. Persons residing within the city of Binghamton who are interested in the improvement and preservation of environmental quality shall be eligible for appointments as members of the commission. You can read more about the commission in the boards and commissions section of the city charter and on the Environmental Commission website page within the City of Binghamton website. We have at least 1, I think 2, maybe more of the people whose terms expire December 31st that will not be renewing. They're 2-year terms. So we will have some normal fillings to make for January. If you are interested, please email your resume to clerk@cityofbinghamton.gov. Please apply by December 17th, 2024. Okay, we have 1 public hearing that we need to set for our next business meeting. The City of Binghamton will hold a public hearing regarding RL 24-222, resolution authorizing Restore New York Round 9 application for 191 Front Street Blight Reduction Project. This public hearing will take place at 6 p.m. during November 20th. That's okay. A regular city council business meeting in the city council chambers, 38 Holly Street, Binghamton, New York. Residents wishing to participate in the public hearing may do so electronically by emailing their comments prior to 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting to clerk@cityofbinghamton.gov or in person during the meeting. All right, we can now move on to public comment. Please be respectful, and each speaker will be given up to 5 minutes to address City Council on city issues. Come on down.
Hello, everyone. Kenneth Brown. I live on the west side of Binghamton. I'm here tonight because I noticed the potential sale to Ackerman is up again in the agenda. I was a little disappointed to see that there was basically no change to the proposal. Saw that there was a timeline added of 5 years for him to fulfill the obligation for low income housing, which is good, but I still think that there's a lot more that could be offered from him, considering he claims he cares to help with housing, the housing crisis that he helped create. If he's serious about that, then I don't understand why this needs to be so profitable. Especially, he claims that it's not a huge profit margin. Why can't that small profit margin just go back to the city? I mean, the man made potentially millions. He says he's not a rich man. I would love to see the tax returns and all of his bank accounts to prove that. But he made his money off of coming into town and kicking out people out of housing. He admitted this. He gentrified. He's a self-admitted gentrifier. Why are we rewarding him to be a hero while profiting at the same time on the back end of a crisis he helped create? It doesn't make any sense. It goes against the whole concept of housing justice, progressive housing justice, something you all ran on. I understand. Maybe not all of you, something most of you ran on. I understand we want to get housing built, but we can also create some kind of stipulation that helps the city. I mean, you're already giving them 5 years to build. What's another few weeks to make sure that the city gets something out of this besides a handful of micro units that are really more of an insult than anything, considering he still wants to profit upwards of 80% on every monthly rent off of the taxpayer. He says he's not using taxpayer money, that maybe not in the beginning, but considering every rent will be collected from DSS, he's making money off the taxpayer. I just think, I don't say no. I just say no to the version we have now. And I think it's important that we consider a few words that someone spoke last summer. I think it's a spit in the face of the people of Binghamton. We need to vote no so we can rework this pilot to something that is more equitable for the people of Binghamton. Those are words spoke by Councilman Nate Hotchkiss at last summer's Board of Education meeting. That's obviously not the same level of tax break or benefit, but it's the same idea, allowing people that have helped cause the problem to keep benefiting while let's not forget that he also has many, many, many units, many buildings that he could open up. Because let's not forget some of the people that he may be housing in some of these micro units may be people that he pushed into the street initially anyways. And he still wants to play the hero. I don't know. I think we need to stand with the residents. You need to stand with the residents over just a housing tycoon. I get that he donated to some of your guys' campaigns, but I mean, if it doesn't actually affect anything, then I think it's not too hard to ask for something. What that something is, maybe a donation once he reaches profit, maybe a percentage of the profit annually to help boost funding for more housing in the city. I think the last thing I just want to say is in my last public comment that I sent in, I had a proposal for how to build maybe shelters or more housing or to create revenue in the city. I was told that I was incorrect about how property tax works, which understanding that now, I mean, still very confused on why that's the setup, but an idea that not fully obviously thought out, but just to put out there for new revenue, maybe an annual licensing for student housing rentals per unit, per building. I don't have every number, but I'm just an idea that could be worked on to create a new avenue of revenue for any type of progress towards more housing. And not just to the benefit
You have 1 minute left.
of the people that have already made handfuls of money off of this city. Thank you.
Thank you. We spoke before the meeting, but just to formally ask you, did we receive any emails to the clerk's office?
We did not.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to speak tonight. We'll now move on to second reading legislation and start with introductory ordinance 024-93 considered in planning. Councilman Hotchkiss.
This is O24-93, an ordinance to authorize the sale of 35 to 41 Charlotte Street to Charles Ackerman. Oh, excuse me.
That was a motion.
It was a motion to adopt introductory ordinance 024-93, an ordinance to authorize the sale of 35 to 41 Charlotte Street to Charles Ackerman.
Is there a second?
second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Hotchkiss, seconded by Councilman Porter. Discussion. Councilman Dundon.
Yeah, I want to say, I think Kenny did make a lot of good points. I do know Charlie a little bit. Trying to build any kind of housing is where I'm at with at least starting something. I mean, as we're getting towards the end of our first year, it's been one hell of a learning curve, I guess is the best way to put that. And I'm hearing what you're saying, Kenny, and I don't disagree with you. I would just like to see something that's going to start being built going into 2025 and then to continue to build off of that. I mean, trying to think of the right word I want to use. I think you're 100% right in everything you said, and most of it. I don't know if it's so much him playing the hero, but yeah, this has been something that I've definitely thought back and forth. And I mean, I think as long as we're putting the right foot in the sand and taking a step forward and trying to get some housing built, I mean, we still have a lot to figure out with what's going to happen with Binghamton Plaza. I do have some ideas depending on what they find in that soil, what might be able to be done with that property. So yeah, I guess I just needed to ramble for a second.
Thank you.
Got a few things.
Councilman Hotchkiss.
Yeah, so some of the restrictions that go along with the sale are the city is retaining the right to access. We also are restricting the development to the HUD's definition of very low income, so it can't be changed in the future, at least for like 30 years. Third is if ground isn't broke within 5 years, then we can bring back these parcels to the city's possession. The fourth is that there won't be any sale for 30 years. And fifth restriction would be is that the city can repurchase these parcels. So I think in comparison to a lot of the other sales of vacant land within the city, this has far more restrictions, and he's paying more. When I originally introduced this, I had it at $1 because that's what I was used to seeing consistently. Plots of land going for $1 being sold to developers. And I thought that was just the common practice with how the city operated, and I have learned that we should go through estimate and apportionment and through the assessors to have those parcels meet the fair market value. Yeah, and yeah, this isn't the development that's like a perfect scenario, right? I'd much rather we have way more money that we can throw at housing, and we can have much larger units. And that there's more developers that want to do this and have access to resources to make that happen. But we're limited in the resource that we have to try to tackle our housing crisis. And we know that there's an acute need for extremely low income housing. And I think we hear about it almost at as city council people. So why I'm supporting this is because it addresses a critical need for extremely low income housing. A number of local nonprofits that work with the homeless populations have vocalized their support. There's not letters of support, but they said that they would be more than willing to help their clients access that space when it's built. These parcels are really underutilized. They've been vacant for, I want to say 20 years, 10 to 20 years. And there hasn't been any activity that I know of people trying to buy it up to build anything. And this doesn't cost the city anything. And I think that's a huge, huge benefit. We're actually making a small amount of money by selling these parcels. Lastly, I would argue that it does save the taxpayers money. if we can divert people from having to be in hotel stays and pay that money through DSS, that is a lot more cost burden on the taxpayer versus the rent for extremely low income people that DSS would provide. So there's a savings there. It's not, again, it's not like it's not a perfect world. But I think if we're trying to address the acute need for extremely low income properties, we have to be a little bit flexible with how we approach things. And these are restrictions that are way more restrictive than any other thing I've seen come through the city so far. So that's why I am supporting this project. I hope it happens. There's still a lot of hurdles that he has to go through. So I'm giving it a chance.
Thank
That's
you. Councilman Porter.
There's this critical need, we need it. I don't tend to think of Charlie trying to play the hero as much as maybe even having a redemptive factor that might work, but I just feel that by having this is very much needed, and even if so, this may be a Band-Aid or a gaping wound, but at least we have something for right now, and maybe it can lead to other, maybe local developers or anything to maybe work their way through it. I know that Councilwoman Middleton has tried to hold a committee meeting to revamp the rental registry. And she's been trying to figure out how to work that. And the only thing I can think of is if possible ways to do this rental registry that one might help with situations we're dealing with certain landlords that are not up to par. I'm in agreement with having this at least done. And over a period of time and having this being built in so that we can have some semblance of trying to make affordable housing and to have a place for the unhoused. So I know I'm in agreement with this, at least trying to get this started. So.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilman Kavanaugh.
Why I think this particular project is of interest is that it is a different model than we've seen other developers pursuing. We either have development that requires a significant amount of upfront public investment, or development waiting in the pipeline for HCR for state and federal tax credits to make them pencil out. This is the first project I've seen percolating that is able to cater to extremely low income folks and doesn't require either of those ingredients. So it's an and do this versus precluding any other projects. And I think the fact this land has just been sitting here fallow for many years, nobody's jumping up to access it, and the fact that we have other parcels, we have other projects, but we don't have anything that's following this model. So I'm pretty agnostic to who is doing it, as long as they have some track record of development. I am very interested in how this comes about, and I don't think we're really losing anything as a city by giving this project a shot. And I think Councilman Hotchkiss has built some very wise safeguards into our contract with for the land, and so I don't see a downside of giving it a shot.
Councilman Hotchkiss.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out and reiterate what Councilman Kavanaugh was saying, that it's just, we have it's extremely frustrating to learn and understand how many different proposals there are for housing and affordable housing throughout the city. And very few of them have broken ground since their announcement, whether it's 5 years ago or sooner. Like on this public hearing, we're talking about 191 Front Street that was announced probably in 2019. They haven't been approved for their tax credit, so there hasn't been much movement there. And there's just a ton of projects that are in the pipeline, and it's exploring a different model, and I don't think that we should be I think we should be open to exploring different ways to address the affordable housing crisis. And this is a kind of a novel approach that we haven't seen in the city. So I think that's why there's probably some concern, and it's not following the typical development patterns. But that's all I have. I think we gotta, as far as the housing crisis is concerned, we need to be, I think of it as all hands on deck situation. So if we're eliminating different projects from happening, and we're eliminating opportunities for people to get off the streets and actually have a door and a bed and a place to keep their belongings and a roof over their head, I think I can't really justify that. So I think that's what we got to do, and that's why I'm supporting this.
Thank you. Anyone else? No. Yes, I guess I'll state that I agree with what's being said. I guess I have been kind of trying to think about how to operate, given, as has been brought up, that I did receive campaign contributions. But as Councilman Hotchkiss put forward, like, we didn't come up with the financial amount. It went through the assessment process. We didn't, it went through all the same channels as other projects. And the city benefits from not having empty parcels that they need to maintain and have liability over. So there's that piece as well. This is just one piece in a longer process. So this is just the location, but things like the pilot agreement, assuming that there will be a pilot agreement for this, have not been negotiated or discussed. So there's a lot of pieces of planning commission, all those types of things that it's going to have to go through before we see something. So this is just a first step towards exploring this, is the way I see it. All right. Does anyone else have any feelings about donations or how to address that, other than the fact that we didn't come up with the amounts?
I mean,
No.
seeing that it's all public record, I don't really feel any of that needs to be addressed.
Thank you, Councilman Dundon. Anyone else? Okay. All right, the clerk can call the roll.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I would gladly support this project, whether somebody gave $50 to my campaign or not. So that's all.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. The clerk can call the roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton is absent. Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 6-0.
Thank you. Next, we have, oh, sorry, the ordinance passes. Next, we have first reading legislation. We'll start with ordinance 024-94, considered in finance. Councilman Kavanaugh. Did I skip one? Sorry. 2488. All right, introductory ordinance 2488, considered in planning. Councilman Hotchkiss.
Make a motion to adopt introductory ordinance 024-88. This is an ordinance to modify 024-24.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Hotchkiss, seconded by Councilman Costi.
So this is,
Motion.
I think this is cleaning up a previous ordinance that related to funding the new position in the planning department, the housing and community development specialist.
Okay. Any further discussion? Questions?
This might
Councilman
be,
Dundon.
this might be for corp counsel. Is that a civil service position? Would you know off the top of your head, corp counsel? Okay.
Is that important for, are you interested in a holdover or anything like that?
No,
It's
no,
first-
I just,
first
a
reading.
little background information, if it was civil service and if this position was actually a CSCA member, well, I end up being a CSCA member and represented by that CBA.
Thank you. All right. Any further questions? All right, the clerk can call the roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton is absent. Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 6-0.
All right, the ordinance passes. Next, we have introductory ordinance 024-94, considered in finance. Councilman Kavanaugh.
Scroll up. All right. I'd like to motion to pass ordinance 024-94, an ordinance to amend the 2024 BJCSTF budget for a rebuild/refurbish.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kavanaugh, seconded by Councilman Costi. Discussion.
This is moving money out of their designated capital reserve that they built up for things like this to do some work in the head house and on the flight, however the heck they say it, some kind of plump. Some kind, what? Flight jet? The flight pump?
Oh.
There's a silent G?
Yep.
Okay, the flight pump.
Oh.
All right.
Oh.
Word's got a silent G. All right. Anyway, so they're rebuilding that pump as well. So it's again all within the sewage treatment plant budget and coming out of their designated capital reserve.
Any other questions? At some point, we had discussed potentially a finance meeting to start probing a little bit more about what's going on financially with the sewage treatment plant. Is that still on your radar?
Potentially, but I was alarmed by the digging into capital reserve, but this is an actual line that they built up. So I am less concerned with this particular transfer now.
Thank you for clarifying that. All right. Anyone else? Clerk can call the roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton is absent. Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 6-0.
All right, the ordinance passes. Next, we have introductory ordinance 024-95, considered in public works. Councilman Dundon.
Yes, I'd like to make the motion on 024-95 as it's an ordinance to amend the 2024 DPW budget.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Dundon, seconded by Councilman Costi. Discussion.
Yeah, this is, so this is to amend the 2024 Department of Public Works budget to increase overtime, general operating supplies and tires by 103,000.
Any other discussion? Councilman Hotchkiss.
Councilman Kavanaugh, is this separate from the transfer that you were speaking about earlier?
The one I was just talking about was a sewage treatment plant.
No,
Oh.
earlier, when you were talking about the boards and commissions report.
Oh, yeah, yeah, this is totally separate. This is, they're adding a lot of overtime.
And they need money for tires, which. you
That's, I
said you-
think, a separate line from the auto parts line. So I mean, we can pull out the budget and look if you want, but remember there's like, DPW and there's central garage, like there's different parts and tires lines in different parts of the department. So this is not the same line, I don't think, as I was discussing earlier.
Okay, thank you.
All right. If there's nothing else, the clerk can call the roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton is absent, Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Hi.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 6-0.
The ordinance passes. Next, we have introductory ordinance 024-96 considered in finance. Councilman Kavanaugh.
Oh, yes. So this is cleaning up some lines that have old capital projects that have little bits of money left in them here and there. With the intent, it's going to the DPW equipment line to fund the purchase of their new hot box, which is what keeps the pavement patching warm while they're applying it, I guess, right? So this was a slightly, well, it's actually an efficient way to use up bits of money without having to go to some sort of other capital expenditure or banning for this or anything. So it helps clean up old budget lines and it gets DPW a needed piece of equipment.
Any further discussion? Councilman Hotchkiss?
This is a growing pet peeve of mine that there's these interesting funds that are hanging around in capital lines, or it feels like there's certain instances where the comptroller can kind of dig in the couch for like loose change and then come up with these transfers, and I just find it really highly unusual that this keeps happening like this. So it makes me very curious about the city's finances and budgeting. But without exploring it further, I can't really speak to it.
Right. I didn't capture the motion at the beginning. Can you
Oh,
restate it and get a second?
I was probably
and then we'll-
explaining it and didn't bother to make the motion. I'm sorry. I'd like to motion for passage of 024-96, an ordinance to amend the 2024 capital budget to close capital projects no longer active and increase Department of Public Works equipment line.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilman Kavanaugh, seconded by Councilman Dundon. Back to the discussion.
All right.
Anyone else? Okay, the clerk can call the roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton is absent, Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi.
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye,
Thank you. That is 6-0.
the ordinance passes. Next, we have introductory ordinance 024-97 considered in finance. Councilman
Again.
Kavanaugh.
All right, I'd like to motion to pass ordinance 024-97, an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Binghamton, Chapter 5, Section 29F, fees for preparation of documents by city treasurer.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kavanaugh, seconded by Councilman Dundon. Discussion.
This is the very elaborate way we have to go about changing the word return check to returned item / payment. So we can actually collect those fees on modern forms of payment.
Thank you. All right, any further discussion? Clerk can call the roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton is absent, Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
Thank you. That's 6-0.
All right. The ordinance passes. Next, we have introductory ordinance 024-98 considered in finance.
I'd like to motion to pass introductory ordinance 024-98, an ordinance to amend the 2024 general fund budget to reallocate electric costs.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kavanaugh, seconded by Councilman Costi. Discussion.
This is just rebalancing some electricity lines to put money into the lines where we have some increased electricity costs, out of a line where we have some less expenses, slightly less expenses than we thought we would have. So just balancing things so we can pay out out of the lines we need to pay them out of.
Thank you. Anyone else? Clerk can call the roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton is absent. Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
Thank you. That is, excuse me, Councilmember Hotchkiss, did you say aye? Okay, 6-0.
All right, the ordinance passes. The next introductory ordinance on our agenda got held over in ENA. Do we want to discuss it, even though we can't vote on it today?
We can, yeah, I think we could do both. We could make a motion to hold over and also have a discussion.
So,
on it.
okay, so first, I think we need a motion to introduce it and then a motion to hold over. So would you like?
Okay. All right, I'd like to make a motion to hold over
No,
or
Yeah.
introduce it.
introduce it.
All right,
I'll
so I'd
second it,
like to
and then we'll hold
make a
it over.
motion to introduce 2499.
We can just hold it? Sorry to make it complicated. You can just make a motion to hold it.
That's what I thought. I thought
Perfect.
it was just.
You got it. Your brain's working today, not mine.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to hold over ordinance 2499, ordinance to amend the 2024 contingency budget.
Second.
Motioned by Councilman Porter, seconded by Councilman Hotchkiss. Any discussion on the motion to hold over? I think we already clarified that it relates to ENA holding it over. So clerk can call the roll on the holdover.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton is absent. Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
Thank you. That's 6-0.
All right, it has been held over. It sounded like there was desire to have a discussion on it, even though we won't be voting on it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, so the frustrating piece for this is that there isn't a standard protocol apparently within City Hall about doing responsibility adjustments. We've had a number of different responsibility adjustments that have come through throughout the course of the year. And I think maybe I was being naive in thinking that those were standard in their approach and how people address those. And I guess there's been some pushback here, even though this is identical to a previous responsibility adjustment that we had already approved back in August, I believe. So that's all I really wanted to say. That I think, like, following this, I hope there's a standard practice that the city can adopt for how we approach responsibility adjustments.
Anyone else?
Yeah,
Councilman Dundon.
I want to put on the record that I've never seen any other department head get questioned over how they did their responsibility adjustments in their department. I don't understand why that's being questioned with the clerk's department. And when this was originally, what was it, August, I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in August when this legislation was proposed, there was no question about it. Nobody had anything to say. It wasn't until after the fact. So I'm kind of curious on why this is being held over in ENA, and I'm going to make sure I get to the bottom of it.
Anyone else? Councilman Porter.
I'm also in agreement with Councilman Dundon. This is we passed this we passed this legislation. And I just find it quite interesting that whatever this ENA meeting uh is being called, I like to know what's the deal or what's going on with that. And we've been moving money and everything around for other positions, and yet we had no problems with that. And all of a sudden, now we got a problem. So that is a big question, and I like holding this over until to get to the bottom of it is very important. So.
Is there anyone else? All right, so we'll move on to introductory resolution R 24-82 considered in Public Works. Councilman Dundon.
I'd like to make a motion on resolution R 24-82. It's a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a supplemental agreement number 2 with Brown and Caldwell Associates.
A second.
Motion by Councilman Dundon, seconded by Councilman Porter. Discussion.
So just to give a little background, this is an agreement number 2 with Brown and Caldwell for the lead and copper rules revision service line for our water system.
Any further discussion? Clerk can call the roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton is absent. Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Councilmember Hodges,
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky. Thank you. That's 6-0.
Okay, the resolution passes. Next, we have introductory resolution R 24-83 considered in Public Works. Councilman Dundon.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion on resolution R 24-83. It's a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter in a supplemental agreement number 1 with McFarland and Johnson.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Dundon, seconded by Councilman Costi. Discussion.
So to give a little background, agreement number 1 with McFarland Johnson is for extra drainage work and NEPA environmental work related to the Henry Street reconstruction project.
Any further discussion? Clerk can call the roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Excuse me.
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton is absent. Councilmember Dundon,
Aye.
Councilmember Costi,
Aye.
Councilmember Hodges.
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 6-0.
The resolution passes. Next, we have introductory resolution R 24-84 considered in Public Works. Councilman Dundon.
I make a motion on resolution R 24-84. It's a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with McFarland Johnson for construction improvements.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Dundon, seconded by Councilman Costi. Discussion.
So a little background on this. This is an agreement with McFarland Johnson for construction, inspection, and material testing for the Main Street corridor improvement and study.
Any further questions? Councilman Kavanaugh.
I'm, I wish the comptroller were here. I'm not wild about, we have an amount of 4,352,000 that's being deducted from a number of lines, but we don't have the amounts being deducted from each specific line, which we have in other cases in even in stuff earlier tonight. So I think it would be better practice in future to try and actually match up the amount with specific amounts coming out of specific lines. And they're I mean, it's all within the, well, no, I mean, some of it's within the Main Street corridor kind of lines, but then some of it's coming from the regular street resurfacing and mill and pave line. So
Councilman,
there's just potential to, but at the same time, I don't want to hold up this particular project. I just think we need to flag this for.
I was going to say, do you want to hold this over till it's all broken down properly? If that makes you feel more comfortable, I'll motion the holdover.
Again, I don't think we need to hold this up, but I think we just need to flag this for drafting later. If anyone else feels stronger than me about it.
Help me understand.
Just want to make sure we're on, are you looking at R 24-85 84 or R 20?
85.
You're looking at 85. We're on,
That's the last one.
we're on.
Oh, it's
84.
on 84. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
But
This one's fine. The next one, the next
right.
one has the problem.
All right.
Sorry. I got
Sounds
jumped in
good.
there.
All right.
Sorry.
Everyone's good? Clerk can call the roll?
oh well,
Oh, wait, no, Councilman Porter.
never mind. I thought it was trying to compare the other two, but since he got it, okay, no problem. Never mind.
Clerk can call the roll.
Councilmember Porter,
Two McFarlands.
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton is absent. Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon.
Aye.
Councilmember Costi.
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
Thank you. That's 6-0.
You. Next, we have introductory resolution R 24-85, considered in public works. Councilman Dundon.
I'd like to make a motion on resolution R 24-85. It's a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a supplemental agreement number 2 with the New York State Department of Transportation.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Dundon, seconded by Councilman Costi. Discussion.
So the background on this is it'll be agreement number 2 with the New York State Department of Transportation for work on the Main Street corridor to perform the preliminary engineering design, the right-of-way incidentals, the right-of-way acquisition and construction report, and construction inspection work.
Any further discussion?
So this
Okay,
is the one I have
Councilman
my
Kavanaugh.
concern on and just copy paste my comments from earlier. Okay, awesome. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. The clerk can call the roll.
Councilmember Porter.
Nay.
Councilmember Middleton is absent. Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon.
Aye.
Councilmember Costi.
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Council President Matavetsky.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 5-1.
The resolution passes. Right. There we go. Now we move on to communications from council. Let's start with Councilman Kavanaugh.
I got nothing tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Porter.
Yesterday, last night, for some, is thrown for a loop. For some, it's a victory. My opinion, my feelings is I was hoping that the people would do better. I was hoping that people would choose a form of freedom that would not take away your rights. Locally, we did nice with having some elected officials in the positions that they are. They won their election, but it's just disappointing to see that people would rather go back than to move forward. They rather go back to a default ideal that continues a certain amount of oppression. And as my job, doing that, I have to continue to resist and continue to fight. It's very tiring. But if this is something I have to do, I'm definitely going to have to do it. I just, like I said, I just wish people could done better. But people rather choose their racism over anything else. So That's all I have right now.
Thank you. Councilman Dundon.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate everybody who won last night, but I also want to congratulate the people that didn't win, and the fact to put yourself out there and actually run for office and sign up and volunteer to have any work in the government. That takes a lot. I mean, all of us know sitting here at this table, it's not an easy decision, and running a campaign, being part of a campaign and all that is not, it's a full-time job on top of your normal job. But I definitely want to congratulate them. And as much as I do like working with Councilman Costi, it's going to be nice to have 7 Democrats sitting at this table come January 1st.
Councilman Costi.
Thanks, Councilman. I appreciate it. Yeah, I just want to congratulate Rebecca Rathmel on winning the 6th District Council seat. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
You. Councilman Hotchkiss.
So we've got a Northside Neighborhood Assembly meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. at 438 Shenango Street. Mayor will be there, so if you want to show up and ask him questions about any of the developments on the north side, I'm sure he'd be more than willing to field your questions. Secondly, I guess I'm really happy to see that the residents of Binghamton voted really decisively to bring back the Human Rights Council. That was really positive to see. I look forward to bringing that back and having that back online. And I'm looking forward to having our colleague Rebecca Rathmel back on City Council. No love lost, Councilmember Costi. But that'll be a nice change, and I think she brings a lot and has a lot to offer to the community and to the city. So I look forward to that. Overall, I don't want to. There's a lot of really strong feelings about the election, either positive or negative, depending on where you stand. But it's just like I think the whole country is really shook up right now, including Binghamton, and I just like try to be as kind as you can to your neighbors, despite any political differences, and also just like I'd encourage you to reach out to family members and friends you haven't talked to in a while and just see how they're doing, see how your neighbors are doing, because it's, I think everybody's pretty shook up at this point. So that's what I advise you to do. And that's pretty much as far as my thoughts have gone on the topic. So thank you.
Thank you. It looks like we finally have a breakthrough on the south side for having a mobile food pantry. Right now, it looks like it'll start Tuesday. It'll be the first Tuesday of the month, starting December 3rd. I'll share more details over the coming weeks, but big thank you to Jordan Trice and Teresa Kraus and all the rest of the team that's been driving this. Very, very excited, and I'm glad and happy that they've kept me in communication and in on meetings to push this forward. Friends of the Two Rivers Greenway are hosting their second maintenance day to spruce up the 434 Greenway near MacArthur Park this Friday, November 8th from 3 to 5 p.m. Bring work gloves, hand pruner, lopper pruner? No, I'm looking. Okay, someone knows what a lopper pruner is. Stiff bristle broom, leaf blower for final cleanup, wheelbarrow or large plastic garbage can to place bags into, and we're to meet behind the baseball field. Family and friends are welcome. Ross Park Zoo welcomes all veterans, active military, and their families with free zoo admission Monday, November 11th. Valid military ID required. Discovery Center will be celebrating Veterans Day on November 11th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. There will be activities to explore the origin of Remembrance Day, now called Veterans Day, and also make and send cards of wishes to veterans in our community. Activities are free with museum admission. On Veterans Day, they will offer free admission to active duty military personnel, veterans, and their household family members. Valid military ID is required. Southside Neighborhood Assembly's next meeting is Tuesday, November 19th at 7 p.m. in the MacArthur Cafeteria. The topic is the proposed zoning changes and how they will affect taxpayers. Those of you that that follow here, you know that we've worked with the deputy mayor on getting the money to allow the yard waste pickup. They did confirm that Monday, November 11th, on Veterans Day, they will have yard waste pickup. So leaves must be placed at curb in open top containers or compostable yard bags. They are no longer taking plastic bags of leaves. The max weight per bag or container is 50 pounds. Max size is 33 gallons. Raking leaves into the street is prohibited. Yard waste will be continued to be collected through the first Monday in December. So south side, we've got lots of leaves in certain areas. My street is definitely covered in leaves. Following along on the election discussion, I do want to say, regardless of who you are, your party, you're my constituent, please always feel comfortable to reach out to me on any city-related issues. And I hope that party affiliation will not cause any sense of conflict in terms of reaching out. I am concerned, and something that we'll see how it goes, but the last time the incoming president was president, there was an attempt to get rid of the federal community development block grant. I think those of us on this council dealing with the city's budget know how key that bit of money is to just keeping things like code enforcement and potholes filled, and a few of the nonprofits that hold our community together by a shoestring. So I think that for me, on top of all the other feelings, that is something that I'm going to be watching very carefully and talking to our representatives about, making sure that we're getting the best advocacy we can get to keep that money coming in. I think that's an additional thing to keep me up at night. So with that, I hope to see many of you Monday at the Veterans Day Parade. I sent out invitation information to everyone on council, and thank a veteran. Have a great night. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
A second.
Motion by Councilman Dunn.